talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. One, two, three, four. They call me Mr. Gulley. I've got something for your ear. Now it might sound kind of funny, but I'll make it very clear. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your Thursday night? As I was blinded earlier. It's right at the top of the window. It'll only be this way for a couple of days. The Earth and the planets, they get, Hey, let me tell you about Rocky Horror Picture Show tonight. This is going to be a great one. I know a lot of people in here are really, really big fans of Rocky Horror, so I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey. But before I do, please like, please share, please subscribe, please notification bell, please tweet, retweet, whatever. All those free things you can do that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-wonderful, knowing algorithm. And then also we do have super chats. We do have memberships. We love it when you take advantage of those. They help us pay the bills around here. And then at the bottom of the begging bar, hold on, let me put the begging bar up here. At the bottom of the begging bar, it'll tell you how to turn on your gifted memberships, and very generous people actually give out memberships to this train wreck. Hard to believe, isn't it? But it's true. Let's get to a few of your comments here before we get this baby going. Gilman, right out of the gate. Katie bar the door, right out of the gate. 99 cents. We're already making money tonight. Man, we're in the black. I'll tell you what. Gilman, thank you. Appreciate that. Metal Maiden Vicky is here. Dupa is here. Always glad to see those ladies. And, of course, I responded in kind by typing. People saying hi. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. Metal Maiden Vicky says, I would like, if I may, to enter a strange chat room. How strange is it? Well, it's so strange they built a show around it. We did. People saying hi. Cheerful chat room, internet, verified, independent sources. Duba says, I was going to change my name to Damn It Janet for tonight's show. Then I'll be stuck with it for 2 weeks. And we don't want that. The chef is in the house. That's right. He's an actual chef, ladies and gentlemen. He's here with us tonight. Dupa says, yay, chef is in the house. Behind me, you might be able to tell there's a light over at the Frankenstein place. Seriously. I don't know what the heck it is about this neighborhood, but it's right when I start my show. Somebody's got to run a leaf blower or disembowel a cat or I don't. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. It's bugging the living bejesus out of me, though. People. Let me see here. Chef says, okay, your show is an hour long. Gives me time to make dinner for everybody. What did we want? Don't derail the show, please. We can't be taking food orders during the show. I'm sorry. You're going to get what you have. Why don't you just tell us what you're already making? That'd be better. I'm not wading through 100 different... Anyway, I had a thing happen to me while we waited. I'm vamping. Let's see here. Those neighborhood noises, we call them tombients. Yeah, but they're unnecessary. Meatloaf, that's appropriate. Meatloaf is appropriate, chef. That is very appropriate. Or just Dead Eddie or something. Yes, it is tombients. But it's people. I wasn't going to mention this, but I am going to mention it now that we've got problems with people because I'm vamping. I like to not get into the topic till 5, 6, 7 after, so people have time. Their notification gets to them. They say goodbye to their wife and children and significant other to listen to this show. I'm at McDonald's. I had to run some errands today. So I don't do a lot of McDonald's, but I still have all these bonus points built up from back when I was working for News Radio 1080 KRLD, because there was a McDonald's right next door, and it was the only place to get something to eat before I had to be back on the air again. Anyway, I'm trying to burn off some of these bonus points. And I was there, and I said, hey, I can get one of those little McChicken sandwiches, maybe a McDouble, just something to tide me over, no big deal. Did my errands, and then one thing I will say is when you order off the app, it's beautiful. You don't have to wait to order. It's just ready. It happens really fast. It's easy. It's okay. And as you know, I don't like to mess with a lot of apps. So I'm standing there, and the only drawback is there's a lot of DoorDash and Uber Eats guys that are there. And in the words of Vito Corleone, it's no difference to me how a man makes his living. So that's fine, but they're always clogged up in there. But I get in there, there's only one guy. He is somewhat portly. And that's not me being mean. It will play a part in the story shortly. And person of color, I got no problem with that. I live in a transitional area. I don't, you guys know I go over to the Urban Landlord Show all the time. I'm not that guy. However, he could have been plaid as it affects this story. So I get there, and so they got the one ordering area, and then they got the area where you pick your food up, and he's standing kind of right in the way. They've got a couple of promotional displays and things there, right? And so I'm waiting, and he's got his AirPods in, and he's just sitting there mumbling, which I just think is silly. This guy's just sitting there going, and I'm like, are you talking to me, or are you talking to somebody else, or whatever else? And why do I have to listen to half of a conversation that I don't want to hear the full conversation of anyway? So my order, predictably to me, was somewhat less than his order. I later found out, and we'll get to that he wasn't an Uber Eats or DoorDash guy. He was just a guy, just like me, was not involved at the time in a commercial endeavor. So they call my name and number, and now I'm trying to get to the thing, and he's blocking the way. And I'm a polite person. I said, excuse me, sir, can I get through here? He turns to me and he says to me, and you guys all watch this show, you will quickly probably see yourselves say, oh, probably the wrong person to say that to. He says, you could have walked your, slang term for posterior, around me and gone around. And I'm like, hey, let me just get through here. Just asking you to step over a little bit. You're kind of blocking the way. No big deal. Got my thing. Now I've got my thing, and it took that much time. I got my thing. I'm turning back, and he's still talking. He's like, you could have got your white. White. Now white. Okay. Pejorative for posterior again. And I'm happy. I've got McDonald's food. I'm going to do a show on Rocky Horror later. I'm in a good mood. It's a fine day. The sun is shining and everything else. And I turned to him and I looked at him and I go, are you just not having a good day? Is that it? Is it some sort of problem? No need to get vulgar in front of these ladies here. You're about to get McDonald's food. This should be a happy time. And he, don't look at me. Don't you look at me. Don't look at me. You look somewhere else. And okay, now it's on. I said, why wouldn't you want me to look at you? I mean, it's a free country. I can kind of look anywhere I want to. You're a strikingly handsome man. Why wouldn't I look at you as I pass by on my way to my productive, successful day? Why wouldn't I do that? I'm just trying to get by. There's all these, standees and things here. And I politely asked you if you just move over a little bit. You didn't have to. You could have ignored me. And don't you look at me. You better look somewhere else. Look somewhere else. Look. And I said, nah, I think now I would like to look at you. Because when I speak to someone, it's polite for me to look at them. It's just a polite thing to do. Polite's probably not your strong suit, though. I'm sensing. Are you just not having a good day? I hope you have a better day. I'm sorry I got my stuff before you. Is there something about the pecking order? I don't know what's going on here. So now he's trying to get his cell phone out. And I know what that's going to be. It's going to be him taping me, trying to make me look like some evil person. The ladies, by the way, behind the counter are dying of laughter. Because I'm like, look, I know McDonald's is important to you. I can tell, just visually, that you're into McDonald's, which was kind of maybe. Anyway, So he backs up a little bit, and these standees are really light. You know, they're on foam core. They're not big wooden things or anything. They're just the sort of art board. And he takes a step back. Well, to get his phone out, he sort of takes a step back and pulls his arm back, and he knocks one of them over. And I went, oh, now see, this is the very thing that I was fearful would happen. Now it's just the tragedy I had hoped to avert. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Would you like me to pick it up, or would you? Oh, God. Now he's super mad. You're ignorant. You're just ignorant. I said, no, I think the word you're looking for is stupid. There's a difference. See, ignorant means oblivious or doesn't know. Stupid means knows, but isn't smart enough to figure it out. And I may be one of those things, but I'm not both of them. And I haven't called you any names, sir. Again, I hope that you're having a better day. And then he made another few remarks about my lack of pigment. And I thought our story had ended. Because now he's got his camera out. And I said, I don't understand. I said, you can go ahead and video me all you want to. I'm on camera about, I don't know, 40 or 50 hours a month. It doesn't bother me. I'm just wondering why you're having such a bad day and why you're using such filthy language here in the middle of a McDonald's at lunchtime. It makes no sense to me. Got his camera going. I said, I'm going to just hope that you have a nice day, and I hope that you don't run into any more stationary sales, point of sale items. And I left. I went out and got in the Jag. So now I'm in an even better mood. And I go to exit the parking lot because I went out into the parking lot and I had bought some other things and put everything away. And he must have got his stuff 2 seconds after I left. Because as I take a right to pull out to go down the street to go back home, guess who's walking along the sidewalk? And it was pretty brisk at the time, I might add. I've got the Steely Dan on. And I see there he is. And I couldn't resist. Taking my phone like the camera was on and rolling the other window down and going, hey, do you need a ride? I can give you a ride. And I didn't really have the camera on. I'm not that adept. I don't take video with this. I have a little video camera I use. But he didn't know that because he started cursing me out like there was no tomorrow. And then I channeled the wolf. And I gave I swear to you, a wolf laugh. I went, when I was gone. And he was trying to get out his camera again, too. That's how my day went today. How was yours, honey? Anyway, we got plenty of people in here now. Oh, boy. I've really got a lot of stuff going on here now. Nice poll, Vicky. It was a good poll, Vicky. It really, really was. People are laughing. We love it when people are laughing in the room. Stanley Cross, Stan the man from At the Urban Landlord. I hope Stanley is having a great visit with his son, because I don't think there was a show last night. And or this morning I got up and I didn't see anything, but I could have invoked to this guy, hey, I'm on the Urban Landlord channel, okay, pal? I didn't. People saying hi, 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 people saying hi. Jean1313 is here. Always good to see her. She's even saying hi. And we do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. And I'm cheerful at McDonald's. I say, excuse me, sir, can I get through? Oh, he lost it. Just lost it. Good to see you. Yes, people saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi. Dupa says, you're a strikingly handsome man. That's what I said. I said, why don't you want me to look at you? You're a strikingly handsome man. He was so mad. Coach says, hello to all my friends in chat. Oh, hey, Tom. Hey, Coach. So am I. I didn't say so am I because I'm not a strikingly handsome man. Although, if you watch the opening of the show, you do know that, yes, I used to be dashing. There was a time. There was a time, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Coach. Stanley said, you should have said your friends with Solid Snake, Tom. It really works in situations that are transitional. He wasn't happy. Well, here's the thing about it. They've just built a bridge across this big highway near where I live. Prior to that bridge being built, there was sort of a barrier to certain... I don't think that bridge was the greatest of ideas. Hello, people saying hi. People saying hi. Uh-oh. Mike Rodick with a pull like no other. I don't know that he knows that I know what he's referring to. He says, I thought you left your Jag in Kansas City. The movie Silver Streak. Yes, Richard Pryor. I left my Jag in Kansas City. Good pull. Melanie V says, wow, what a sad dude you encountered. I know. Melanie V says, that was probably the best McDonald's you ever ate. It was just regular McDonald's. I felt bad for the guy. He was just determined to be in a bad mood. But the thing when he got really upset was when he goes, oh, no, don't look at me. You better look somewhere else. You just better look somewhere else. And I'm just standing there, and I'm wearing the same crappy T-shirt and the same getup and everything else. And I'm looking at it, and he was a little shorter than me. He was probably about 6'1", and I'm just like, did you expect me to be afraid? Because I'm not afraid at all. I'm not at all intimidated or... I have just as much right to McDonald's as you do, buddy. Dupa says, so am I. You mentioned the women laughing behind you. Yeah, they were cracking up. Because I kept referencing, you're cursing in front of the ladies. Hello. They just made you or are making you just the most succulent, delicious McDonald's food, and you're cursing. I haven't called you any names. That's just mean-spirited. I don't think he got the joy out of it that I did. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have even told that story. The room count is plummeting. Hey, let me tell you about the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Can I tell you about the Rocky Horror Picture Show? It's a big part of my life, and I know some people in here also have the same. By the way, Rocky Horror Picture Show, DVD on Blu-ray, available wherever fine motion pictures are sold. I have the DVD like special edition. It's got not only the Rocky Horror Picture Show, there's pop-up trivia on it. There's an actual like live show, the big one, I think at the Waverly in New York or somewhere, that has the people acting it out with all the catchphrases and stuff that they do during the show. So it's really outstanding. By the way, throughout the show, I would love to hear your experiences of Rocky Horror. First time you went, what it was like, your favorite thing. I think everybody, when they go there, because it is such a participatory thing, everybody's got their favorite thing that they do. Some people throw toast, right? Some people yell, well, one of the words that was used at me when Brad is on the screen, when Janet comes on the screen, there's some things they yell at her that thankfully were not addressed to me earlier today. My big thing, I did two things and then these were my thing. Maybe my favorite character in the whole thing is the criminologist. And there's a point where the globe is spinning and he stops it. Well, let me tell you. I hope you guys didn't hear that. Because I'm this close to getting up from this show. I'm this close. This close. Are you hearing that? Are you hearing that? People. Anyway, my thing was when the globe is spinning, right? This is the international symbol for globe spinning. Globe is spinning. I would put my hands up and stop the spinning of the globe. That was the one thing that I was good at. And then the other one is there's a portion where there's some smoke on the screen, and I would run up with a newspaper and fan the smoke away. And those things take split seconds. You really have to know when they happen in order to do that. You really do. Incidentally, I have seen in person the Rocky Horror Picture Show 149 times. I'm kind of into it. I always have been. And I'll get into all that and my story and everything else as soon as we launch into this whole thing. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is a movie that was made in 1975. It's a musical comedy horror film produced by Lou Adler. It's directed by Jim Sharman. We'll get into more of that. Distributed by 20th Century Fox. There's even some stuff there. Now, the screenplay was written by Jim Sharman and Richard O'Brien, but the real genius behind this whole thing is Richard O'Brien. And I'll tell you his story in just a second. But you'll know Richard O'Brien from the movie because he plays Riff Raff. And just for your reference here, Riff Raff is right there on the far right. That is Richard O'Brien, okay? And the whole thing was based on a stage production in London called The Rocky Horror Show, and Richard O'Brien wrote the whole thing. It's sort of a amalgamation, a clash, if you will, of science fiction, horror B movies, punk rock. It's got a whole bunch of stuff just perfectly mixed together, and it's amazing. Most of the cast of the movie was actually drawn from the people who starred in the stage play, which makes sense. They shot it over in the UK and all that. I don't need to get into the story. If I do, I will, but I'm not going to do it right now. It was shot on location in Bray Studios, and then this place, which is a little place known as Oakley Court. And Oakley Court was used for a lot of Hammer films that, frankly, the Rocky Horror Picture Show was kind of emulating, okay? A number of props and set pieces were reused from some of these Hammer horror films, but it's kitsch. The costume designer, this is really significant, I think. The costume designer for this film, Sue Blaine, she didn't do any research whatsoever for her designs. She just kind of came up with what she thought it should look like. And some of it kind of affected the punk rock movement at the time, the torn fishnets, the hair dye, all of that. Now, the initial reception for this movie was very negative. Nobody liked this movie, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a second or two anyway. But you know what? It was a hit at the midnight movies. It was a huge hit with the midnight movies. I mean, it was a giant hit with the midnight movies. And after about 6 months of it being a hit at the midnight movies, audiences began responding back and forth with what was going on the screen. And that's when it really was just like nitroglycerin in the gas tank. This thing took off like you can't believe. People returned to the cinema often to see the movie, to participate in the movie, to dress as the characters, the whole thing. Okay? Still, in 2025, to this very, 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 very day, some 49 years after it premiered, it is the longest running theatrical release in film history. Oh, yes. And it's not just in the United States. It's a cult thing all over the world, and many people consider it the greatest musical on film of all time. I gotta tell you, I like musicals. There's a lot of great musicals, but I find that most musicals kind of die at the 2/3 to 3/4 mark. It's just they sort of lose steam. Rocky Horror Picture really doesn't. It really doesn't. I'm not gonna, like I said, go through the plot, but let's just let's get into some of your comments first, and then we'll get into the cast a little bit. Yeah, let's see here. Melanie Vicky says, I've lost how many times, count how many times I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. She said, my late sister Lori took me the first time. I was visiting her at the University of Michigan, saw the movie at the State Theater. Chef says the first time I saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show was 79 or 80 on the Circle at the theater. That's in Indianapolis. And I got to tell you, the first time I saw it, Chef, was at the old Carmel Theater. That old theater, that old 30s Art Deco theater in Carmel. But the first time I went to the midnight movies was up at Purdue. I'll tell you guys that story a little later because it's really, really good. Yes. Mary Jacobs says she's never seen it. That's based. Well, Mary, you should see it. And if you see it, try to find a midnight movie and go see it in person somewhere, or at least find one of the DVDs or Blu-rays that show you the performance part, which the performance part on these DVDs and stuff, it's great if you've been to a performance because then you get that experience, but you really have to see it in person. You really do. Metal Maiden Vicky says we went all prepared with rice, newspapers, playing cards, water guns, etc. She didn't tell me why we were bringing all that stuff. Second time was with Lori too in New York City at the 8th Street Playhouse, movie with full floor show and Sal Piro hosting. That might be the one that's on the DVD. I don't know. And it does sound like a lot of fun. Yes, we had a trippy, wild time at the 8th Street Playhouse. Nick is here. He says, I saw it one Halloween years ago at a theater in Philly dressed as one of the party goers. We had toilet paper, water guns, rice, playing cards, toast. They even made audience packs for the unprepared. Well, and they make a big deal. A lot of times somebody will come out before the movie starts and say, do we have anyone who's never seen the film here? And if people raise their hand, then they'll say, there's the virgins. There's the virgins. Metal Main Vicky says, fantastic soundtrack. Yes, I'll get to that. I'll get to it. Coach Mike says, you've seen it 149 more times than me. My sister used to go what seems like every week or so for a long time. Never got into the cult stuff. People saying hi. The cast, well, let me just say here right now, right out of the gate. Without this guy right here, there is no Rocky Horror. All right? This was Tim Curry's debut on film. And he plays, of course, Dr. Frank-N-Furter, a scientist. And we've got many of the rest of the cast. It's on the left there is Little Nell as Columbia. Patricia Quinn at the top is Magenta. And then we mentioned Riff Raff over there on the right. That would be Richard O'Brien. 20th Century Fox insisted that they add some Americans to the cast. And the two Americans that are most prominent in the cast are, of course, oh man, I have such a thing for Susan Sarandon. And I'm not just talking about back in 1975 Susan Sarandon. I'm talking about her Sarandon. I don't know how you say her last name. I should, because, you know, if I ever meet her, I'm not going to stand a chance if I don't get the last name right. But I mean, even now, she's just, wow. I mean, isn't she the best? And she plays Janet Weiss, a heroine. And then the other one was, of course, Brad Majors. And Brad Majors played by Barry Bostwick. And then, of course, we had Charles Gray as I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey. And crawling on the planet's face, some insects called the human race, lost in time, and lost in space, and meaning. Emotion, agitation or disturbance of the mind, vehement or excited mental state. It is also a powerful and irrational master. And from what Magenta and Columbia eagerly viewed on their television monitor, there seemed little doubt that Janet was indeed its slave. I just love that guy. Is so good. He's Blofeld in a James Bond movie, and he's just so good. And then, of course, it's just a jump to the left. I mean, come on. It's a jump to the left. That's all it is. You know. And so, by some extraordinary coincidence, fate, it seemed, had decided that Brat and Janet should keep their appointment with their friend Dr. Everett Scott, but it was to be in a situation which none of them would have possibly foreseen. And just a few hours after announcing their engagement, Brad and Janet had both tasted forbidden fruit. Sorry, I got a little excited. I got to do my little things to do the show, you know, it's fun and things like that. So that's most of the cast anyway. That's most of the cast. Dupa tells us, I had a professor that got a discount to the show for dressing up like Riff Raff. He didn't dress up. He just naturally looked like him. He said his ego was crushed for months. Vicky adores Tim Curry. We all do. I've seen people that look like Riff Raff outside of methadone labs and things. People saying hi. Yeah. Yeah, keep saying hi to him, Funky Bronco. He's not here. Idiot. Melanie Vicky says, hello, Funky. Slow down, Funky. He's not here yet. You know, Funky Bronco, I'm so close to just bye. See ya. Go haunt somebody else's show. Okay. Let's see here. Criminologist, great character. Damn it, Janet. Let's not ask Funky if he's ever been to the show. He's just going to tell us how drunk he is. I'm over it. I'm just over it. The bumbling, drunken, it's not for this show. You can go do one with the other people that thought they were the star of the show. How about that? How would you like to do that? How would that make your day? It's lost its charm. I'm sorry, it's just lost its charm completely. Oh boy, Scott Green is here. That's just great. Scott's going to say hi to everybody and try to ingratiate. Oh, Scott, the guy that wants to be the producer. Yeah. People saying hi. Don't encourage him, please. Just don't. Richard O'Brien actually was an unemployed actor. And he wrote Rocky Horror basically over the winter one year just for something to do. He was unemployed. He had nothing else to do. He'd always loved these old science fiction and B movies and stuff. And he wanted to put them all together, Steve Reeves movies and stuff. And also the glam era, British rock was happening at the time. So he wanted to put all of that stuff together. So he shows a portion of his unfinished script to this Australian director named Jim Sharman. And they decide to start doing it as a play at this little experimental theater upstairs at the Royal Court Theatre in Chelsea in London, which was used pretty much for experimental and new work. Yeah. they brought in like a production team of people that were friends of theirs. Production designer was Brian Thompson. I mentioned Sue Blaine, who did all of these costumes that you see here. And she did them without any reference at all. She just kind of said, this is what I think these people should look like, and that was it. Now, the original working title of the play was called They Came from Denton High. But just before they finally released the big show, they changed it at the suggestion of Jim Sharman, who also directs the movie, to the Rocky Horror Show. Now, it started off on this little 60-seat theater. You know, nothing. Just a little 60-seat theater. And it very quickly went to a much larger, a 500-seat theater, where it ran for 6 years. And then it came over here as a musical on stage, playing in New York and several other cities. They decided at one point, this guy, producer and Ode Records owner, a guy named Lou Adler, he was there with Britt Ekland. Britt Ekland, who is a very famous Swedish actress. And he saw it once, and he decided to purchase the U.S. theatrical rights and start showing it at the Roxy Theater. In 1975, the Rocky Horror Show, not picture show, but the Rocky Horror Show premiered on Broadway at a 1,000-seat theater called the Belasco Theater. So there we go. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that it was shot in the Bray Studios and then Oakley Court, this big manor that was famous for Hammer films. Most of the cast, as I also mentioned earlier, were from the original London stage production, including, you know, the heart and soul of it all, Tim Curry, who decided that Dr. Frank-N-Furter should speak like the Queen of the United Kingdom and be extravagantly posh. I mentioned to you that 20th Century Fox insisted on Barry Bostwick and Susan Sarandon. Filming took place during the autumn in Great Britain, which did not help matters at all. At all. In fact, during filming, Susan Sarandon fell ill with pneumonia. And there you go. A lot of the people that acted in this movie have remarked upon the fact that it was freezing, absolutely freezing while they were doing this. So it was cold. It was very, very cold. By the way, the tank and the dummy used for Rocky's birth originally appeared in The Revenge of Frankenstein in 1958. And there were a lot of old props from the old Hammer movies that were used because they just happened to be left over from other stuff produced by Hammer Films that was in Oakley Court. There was stuff that was laying around. You know what I mean? It was just laying around. A lot of the costumes were just sort of thrown together. Sue Blaine was finding anything she could find and making it into a costume. And she admits she did no research. She'd never seen a science fiction film. And admits that her costumes for Brad and Janet, well, she says, when I designed Rocky, I never looked at any science fiction movies or comic books. One just automatically knows what a spacesuit looks like, the way one intuitively knows how Americans dress. I'd never been to the United States, but I had this fixed idea of how people looked there. Americans wore polyester so their clothes wouldn't crease, and their trousers were a bit too short. Since they're very keen on sports, white socks, white T-shirts played an integral part in their wardrobe. Of course, since doing Rocky, I've been to the United States, and I admit it was a bit of a generalization, but my ideas worked perfectly for Brad and Janet. The budget for the film was $1,600,000, which was way more than the stage budget, but having to double up on costumes for the film production was expensive because there's a big pool scene in there. So they didn't want stuff that could be destroyed, so they just made two of everything with one version drying while the other was worn on the set. Many of the costumes are exact replicas from the staged presentation, but there we go. Blaine, like most of the cast and the crew, is amazed by the reaction and the understanding of her designs by fans. When she first heard that people were dressing up, she thought it would be tacky, but was surprised to see just how extensively people went to replicate all this stuff. Now, the title sequence is legendary, and a lot of people call it Lips. It's actually called Science Fiction Double Feature, but it sort of lends to the whole androgynous thing behind the movie, because it's a woman's lips. Originally, they were going to do a mashup of scenes from tons and tons and tons of science fiction movies and things like that, but that proved to be way too expensive to get all the rights. So you hear a male voice, Richard O'Brien, singing while a female's lips dub the words. So there you go. And by the way, those are the lips of Magenta, who's on the right here. Come on. Patricia Quinn's lips are the ones that are singing Lips. So there you are. How about that? Bet you didn't know that. Now I do. Now you do, because I told you. The lyrics of that opening song refer to the day the earth stood still, Flash Gordon, the Invisible Man, King Kong, It Came from Outer Space, Dr. X, Forbidden Planet, Tarantula, Day of the Triffids that we were just talking about during our Carnivorous Plants show that our big producer here wasn't here for. You can't just show up twice a month and call yourself the producer. I know in Australia that might work, but not here. Not here, champ. Just doesn't work that way. Tarantula, Curse of the Demon, When Worlds Collide. Now, Metal Maiden Vicky, because she's a music aficionado. Where's my... Oh, here it is. She mentions the soundtrack. And I'm telling you, this soundtrack, I had the album, I had the cassette, and I have the CD. This is maybe the best soundtrack of ever. By the way, it reached number 12 on the Australian albums chart, and it reached 11 on the New Zealand albums chart, which is just another example of why New Zealand is better than Australia. Songs like Science Fiction Double Feature, Damn It Janet, Over at the Frankenstein Place, The Time Warp. Who among us has not danced to the Time Warp? Sweet Transvestite. I'm not going to mention the next one. Maybe real quickly down in the chat, Metal Maiden Vicky can tell me what the problem with the soundtrack is. What's the problem with the soundtrack? You got Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul, Touch Me, Eddie, Planet Hot Dog, Road to My World, Don't Dream It, Be It, the Tom Gulley internal theme song, Wild and Untamed Thing. By the way, Mr. Producer, we have a new show opening. I bet you haven't even seen it. I'm Going Home, Superheroes, and then the reprise of Science Fiction Double Feature. Why don't we get to some of your comments real fast? Because Scott's got to say, transvestites are somewhat repulsive. How would you know? How much time have you spent around them? I heard you were one. And you're not even a sweet transvestite. And it's just a movie. Don't worry. Don't worry, it's just a movie. Doopa says, hi, Scott, not the producer of the Tom Gulley Show. Green. Thank you, Doopa. Thank you. Denton, the home of happiness. It's kind of funny because there's a Denton up the road here from Dallas that's actually the site of University of North Texas. Let's see here. I'm just going to skip that. Tim Jenkinson says he's never seen it. Tim, you're so British. I would have thought you would have seen it. The people saying hi. People saying hi. People saying hi. Virgo is here from the Urban Landlord channel. Good to see you, Virgo. I love the Zen Room. People saying hi. People saying hi. Melvin Vicky said, I did not know that about Rock's Dummy. Cool, yeah. Richard O'Brien Has such a great voice. Yeah, he does. The Wolf is here, and he's saying hi to everybody, by God. I probably went to the midnight movies with Wolf when this was showing. It can't be worse than Starlight Express. No, it's much better. People saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi. Metal Maiden Vicky says, one of my favorite scenes is Riff Raff singing in the castle window during Over at the Frankenstein place. It is. The master's having another one of his affairs. Oh, people saying hi. Scott is probably a Dame Edna fan. Oh, I know Scott's a Dame Edna fan. He doesn't like transvestite, but yet, Dame Edna. Need I say more? Are you going to open up the chat line, Tom? You mean the phone line? I will when I'm done with the spilkus about the connecticozoid here. After I'm done with the topic. Yeah, I open it up after I'm done with the topic. Because if I don't, then we never get to the topic. It's not sure if I know what's wrong with the soundtrack. Well, I'm going to tell you. And you probably already knew this. There are 2 songs from the movie that are not on the soundtrack. What do you think about that? One of them is, well, the sword of Damocles is hanging over my head. That ain't no crime. And the other one is Planet Schmanet Janet, or Wise Up Janet Weiss. Those, now, if you're a total freak like me, you recorded each of those songs off of the DVD, and then you burnt your own CD that has the full. If you really must know, there's one other song that was not included in the movie. There's bootlegs of it out there that also exists, but there you are. The film itself opened up at the Rialto Theatre in the UK in August of 1975. And it also opened up at the United Artists Westwood in Los Angeles on the 26th of September. It did well at that location, but nowhere else. Before the midnight screening success, yeah, the movie was pulled from 8 opening cities due to very small audiences. And the plan to have it open on Halloween night in New York City, they canceled that. They re-released the film around college campuses on a double bill with another rock music kind of film, Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise, another really great cult movie, by the way, but it drew small audiences. Now, they tried to get this thing they kept trying to kickstart it. And so they released it with this poster because of the success of the movie Jaws. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So a different set of Jaws. Pink Flamingos, the John Waters film, and Reefer Madness from way back in 1936 were actually making big money in midnight showings. And so a 20th Century Fox executive, Tim Deegan, said, look, put this on your midnight screenings, okay? This will be a great thing for your midnight movies. And that's when the whole thing really took off at the Waverly Theater in New York City. Now, it spread very quickly to other counties in New York, but then it started taking off even as far as Muncie, Indiana. Yes. And it is, as I mentioned earlier, considered to be the longest running release in movie history. And it benefited from a 20th Century Fox policy that made archival films available to theaters at any time. And having never been pulled by 20th Century Fox from its original release, they had that small release and they never officially pulled it, people could show it anywhere. Now, Walt Disney bought 20th Century Fox in 2019 and started withdrawing archival Fox movies from theaters. If the Fox movie was making money somewhere, they would pull it from the archives so that then they had to pay for it. They've made one exception, And that is, of course, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, so that the movie can still show in traditional midnight screenings. There was actually a Super 8 version of this movie that was made available. Home video was released in the UK in 1987. In the US, the movie with documentary and footage and everything else was released in November of 1990. But they weren't stupid. They knew the big success of the movie was, people attending it. So, God, what the hell? Do you hear that? I swear to God, we're going to have a show come up in a week or two here, and I'm just going to, every stupid, dumb noise. I wish I had a way to stream live to this while I was doing this show, because I would go outside and you would get to see me accost people, not as politely as the guy at McDonald's today. Anyway, it was $89.95 to get the VHS in 1990. $85.99. They released it on DVD in 2000 for the 20th anniversary, and that's a 2-disc set. I have that one. It was a 35th edition Blu-ray that was released in 2010, and then that's got like a 7.1 surround sound mix, the original theatrical mono mix, karaoke, fan performances were included, everything else. It's crazy. Now, the reception of this movie, I just got to go through this because it's very, how shall I say, je ne sais quoi. It's very important. It's important stuff we're dealing with here, kids. It really is. This isn't run-of-the-mill stuff. You guys remember Chicago Sun-Times critic Roger Ebert, don't you? Remember that guy? I'm sorry, I'm just fearful Scott Green is loitering so he can jump in here when I open the phone lines up. Well, he said when it was first released, it was ignored by pretty much everyone, including the future fanatics that would eventually count the hundreds of times they've seen it. He considered it a more of a long-running social phenomenon than in a movie because he's a jerk. And he gives it 2.5 out of 4 stars, describing Curry as the best thing in the movie, maybe because he seems to be having the most fun, but thinking the story would work better performed on a stage for a live audience. Bill Henkin noted that Variety thought that the campy hijinks of the film seemed labored, and also mentioned that the San Francisco Chronicle's John Wasserman, who had liked the stage play in London, found the film lacking both in charm and dramatic impact. Newsweek called the film tasteless, plotless, and pointless. Rotten Tomatoes gives it an 80%, which I think is just ridiculous, an average grade of 6.9%, which is also ridiculous. A number of contemporary critics find it compelling and enjoyable because of its offbeat and bizarre qualities. The BBC said for those willing to experiment with something a little bit different, a little bit attrait, the Rocky Horror Picture Show has a lot to offer. The New York Times called it a low-budget freak show, cult classic, cultural institution with catchy songs. Jeff Andrew of Time Out noted that the string of hummable songs gives it momentum. Gray's admirably straight-faced narrator holds it together. And a run on black lingerie takes care of most everything else. 4 out of 5 stars. On the other hand, Dave Kerr of the Chicago Reader considered the wit to be too weak to sustain a film and thought that the songs all sound the same because he's an idiot. An idiot. A complete idiot. Hey, by the way, please like, please share, please subscribe. Boy, we need those subscription. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all the free things you can do that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Plus, we have super chats and memberships. We've made 99 cents tonight so far. Yes. And thank you, Gilman. And that helps us pay the bills around here, and it also helps with my ego. It also helps me go to McDonald's and bring you the clashes I have with unhappy people at McDonald's. Yeah. Look in the begging bar at the bottom of the screen. That tells how to turn on your gifted memberships. Maybe someone will gift you a membership. There are Rocky Horror conventions all over the country. Tucson, Arizona hosts them all the time. Big global following, big LGBTQ following. Culturally, the Rocky Horror Picture Show has been featured in a number of other feature films and television series over the years. Episodes of The Simpsons, Cold Case, The Boondocks, Glee, Drew Carey Show, That 70s Show, American Dad spotlight Rocky Horror, as do such films as Vice Squad, Halloween 2, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. The 1980 film Fame, featuring the audience reciting their callback lines to the screen and dancing to the time warp, is another thing. Rob Zombie cited Rocky Horror as a major influence on... Let's not even go further than that. Rob Zombie's movies all suck. Every one of them. Sorry, that's not fair. Every single one of them. Richard O'Brien drafted a sequel called Rocky Horror Shows His Heels, and he did that in 1979, and that was a return of all the characters from the original film, and he wanted to reunite the original production team. But Jim Sharman did not wish to revisit the original concept, nor did Tim Curry want to play Frank-N-Furter again. So instead, they did this movie called Shock Treatment. You can watch it. There's another actress that plays Janet. There's another actress that plays Brad. It's a pretty huge departure from Rocky Horror. And, you know, production was halted due to the Actors Guild strike. And the entire film was shot on a single soundstage, poorly received. No Curry, no Sarandon, no Bostwick. So over time, though, a lot of people do like watching it. There's been a few attempts to revive, another sequel. They really haven't panned out. Glee, the show Glee, did their take on Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's awful. I don't recommend it. In 2015, the Fox Network announced it would air a modern-day reimagining of the film titled The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let's do the time warp again. And Frank-N-Furter is played by a transgender actress. You go down the line. Look, they just didn't have the super powerful stars that the first movie did. And worse still, and I hate when movies do this, when they don't do it well. It's okay if they do it, but when they don't do it well, it just torques me off like you can't imagine. And that is, there were cameos by Tim Curry, who played the criminologist, and it's just not. I mean, it's just not. You know what I mean? It's just not. I'm going to look at Susan Sarandon for a while. God, is she gorgeous. She's just so gorgeous. Okay. Follow the bouncing thumb. Yes. Doopa says, how many times have you seen Rocky Horror Picture Show? She said she couldn't count them all. Chef says, great show, but unfortunately I have to go. Everybody say goodnight, Gracie. Chirp, chirp. Good night, Gracie. Chirp, chirp. That's the Ball State thing. Wait, really? Those two songs aren't on the album? Never realized. No, they're not. They're not. Unless you got some later release where they put them on. But yeah, for a long time, those were not on the original soundtrack. People saying bye instead of hi. Yeah, great tunes too. I'm assuming the storm wasn't that bad yesterday. I would say easily over 100 times. Dupa, the meatloaf is almost finished. Go get an ice cream, Tom. That dummy. Just tooling through here. It's 8 o'clock at night. What the hell's the temperature right here now? 63 degrees. He's got nothing better to do. Oh, I hate that guy. I love the scene in Fame where Doris jumps on stage for the time warp. Yeah. Metal Mean Vicky says, I have an audience participation album with Sal Piro, etc. I was going to pull out my DVD for this show, and I have 500 movies. I didn't feel like sifting through them all, but Scott LaRock is here. Hello, Scott LaRock. Metal Mean Vicky says, Dory Hartley is probably one of the most famous and/or Frankie role players. She was incredible, also a great artist. Stanley. Come on now, Stanley. Stanley. You know good and damn well. Hold on here. I got it. I don't know why when I open up Skype, it makes my sound level go down a little bit. I am not in favor of that. 12th Man is here. He says, hey, Tom. Hey, 12th Man. People saying hi. 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 We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet. It's verified by independent sources. That was filmed at the 8th Street Playhouse. People saying hi. People saying hi. People saying hi. We don't discuss 12th Man stuff on this show, Virgo. I'm sorry. It's the Ice Cream Man. Yes, it was the Ice Cream Man. Gene says, seeing the movie was the only time as a teenager my dad let me stay out after 10. Yeah, it's really weird. People got enough stuff. You're rich enough, Tommy. Says you. Metal Main Vicky says, I wish YouTube would allow picture posting in chats. I'm not posting anything about his dumb dog. Get a Happy Meal. No, I'm not the one that needs the Happy Meal. You weren't here at the start of the show. Let's see here. My Happy Meal. I don't even know what that means. He might be into the sauce already tonight. Metal Man Vicky's laughing at the Rob Zombie movie comment. Shock treatment was just strange. It was ill. They should have just stopped. Dory Hartley paints great portraits. Thank you for turning me on to a new artist. I would watch it again. I might go back and try to watch. I might go back and try to watch that.
Should have watched The Devil's Rejects. Makes the Rocky Horror Picture Show look like Tom and Jerry.
Well, why don't we look at the box office receipts of those two movies? Are people showing up at midnight to watch that for the next 49 years? I don't think so. His movies all suck. And they're super derivative of movies that have already been made. They use lines. They use whole plots. He sucks at making movies. Also, It. Okay. Let's see. Scott Rock says Sarandon rhymes with abandon. So Sarandon rhymes with abandon. Well, I'm going to take your word for it, but I wouldn't abandon her in a million years, man. That is the... Metal Main Vicky says, thank you for the Rocky Horror Picture Show tonight. Thank you for the $5, Metal Main Vicky. I very much appreciate that. Virgo says, I love Rob Zombie. His Halloween remakes were great. If you say so. Oh, man. Oh, man. Come on, man. Let's see here. Tom, come on, man. Scholar Rock says, I saw Rocky Horror Picture Show at 5th Avenue in Seattle like 20 years ago. Movie is better than live. Audience participation slows down the live show. I don't understand that. The show is the same speed, whether it's audience or not. I wanted to post a picture of Dory. Oh, well. This ain't the fancy high-end chat room of SonicAsylumRadio.com. By the way, you guys need to watch and listen to Metal Main Vicky's Metal Euphoria on SonicAsylumRadio.com every Saturday, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And their chat room, you can post things, pictures and stuff. Devil's Reject is objectively worse. I know. Actors react live. Goober says, can heterosexual people enjoy Rocky Horror? Yeah, I would say that most of the people that enjoy it are heterosexual. As were most, if not all, of the cast. I think most. I think there's a few that aren't. Phone lines are open at 972-994-6822. Numbers at the bottom of the screen. It's there in the begging bar. I might just go ahead and put up the whole number here in a second. Good point. No, he was not. Stop it. Big Meatloaf fan, got to tell you. So like I went to the Rocky Horror Picture Show at the Carmel Theater. Wonderful old Art Deco theater. Had been there since the 30s. Just a cool place. But it was a movie that, like, it was light out when I went into it. It was like a 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock showing. And the next time I went and saw it was when I was like a junior, maybe a senior in high school. And a buddy of mine that I worked with at McDonald's was a manager. And he was dating a girl that went to Purdue University. And so we went up to Purdue and saw Rocky Horror. So he and his girlfriend were there. I'm there by myself. And I met this college girl online. And we were drinking things out of a flask and stuff. And so we went into the movie. And she sat down right next to me with her friends. We made out the whole movie. But I still did manage to see all of the audience reactions and things that I never had seen in the first movie. So I loved it. It was great. People yelling crazy stuff, people throwing things, squirt guns, toast, all that other stuff. And that began, you know, at least once a weekend, Rocky Horror would be showing at the midnight movies. No matter where you were at. It was either Friday night or Saturday night, one of them, sometimes both nights. So, and there were usually 2 movies at the midnight movies. So, let's see. Millimeter V says, for the thrill, Dr. Scott, sporting the fishnets, yes. For the thrill. From the day he was born, he was trouble. He was the thorn in his mother's side. He tried in vain. She tried in vain. But he never caused her nothing but shame. He left on the day she died. All right, let's see what we got here.
On the day he was born.
Turn your radio down, caller. Turn your radio down. Okay, call back later. I can't. I don't have. Not today. Not today. Not today. Not today. Melmain Vicky says, I live Meatloaf. Scott Ian from Anthrax married Meatloaf's daughter. Scott was bugging out that was his father-in-law. Yeah, I have all of Meatloaf. Everything. All of the Meatloaf. All of it. All of it. Hey, caller, what's going on?
Hey, Tom. How are you?
It's Virgo. Hold on a second, Virgo. Hold on. I am so sorry. Hello?
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Can you hear that?
Well, I heard everything. It seems like you were refreshing your beer.
Beer? I don't drink.
Well, what were you drinking? Was that a soda?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I don't drink alcohol of
You
any
were
kind.
refreshing your Coke Zeros.
It's yeah, something like that. No, I had to run outside and tell the idiot with the freaking thing up a million
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, well, it's because I turned off my stuff here. But so, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Haven't heard from you in a while. I've been busy.
Okay.
And that's Mama Virgo in the thumbnail.
Is it?
Yeah, that is. Well,
let me
did you
see.
think that was me?
Well, no, Virgo, I'm not really scrutinizing the little avatars are only like the tiny in StreamYard.
No, that is
I
that is
can't see
Mama
them.
Virgo, and
Yeah.
she just turned 75 on the 15th.
Okay. So, do you have any Rocky Horror things to share with us tonight? Or?
All right, you're gonna hate me for this, Tom. And you know I'm a movie buff, right?
Yeah.
I've talked a lot about movies with HB and everything. I've never entirely saw Rocky Horror.
Okay. Well, I don't hate you for that.
I've seen tidbits of it, but I'm just here to support you.
Well, I appreciate that. I really,
I just
really
called in
appreciate
to
it.
say hi, and
Well, thank you.
But the subject is very interesting, though. Now you make me want to watch it, to be honest with you.
Well, you almost have to see it in person with the crowd and everything else.
And
You
I
know?
love Tim Curry.
Well, yeah, he's. Well, you haven't seen Tim Curry till you've seen him in this.
Yeah, I love them. He was in the original It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he's Pennywise in the original It, but this is the Tim.
Yeah.
This is the best thing Tim Curry's ever done. I think Metal Maiden Vicky would concur with me there. This is Tim Curry and at his most grand.
Okay.
Yes.
So I will watch this movie from start. Me and Mr. Virgo will watch this movie from start to finish.
Okay. Let me know what you think. I said, it's
I will.
it's a kind of a crowd participation thing, but just let me know what you think.
Yeah, I will.
All righty. Well, we'll.
Well, yeah, I was just calling to say hello, and
Well, thanks.
I enjoyed your show. I've learned a lot about this movie without even watching it. So.
Yes. Well, good. All right then. Well, I'm gonna probably wrap this up here in a few minutes, but I'll see you over on the Urban Landlord, and thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, come on, Tom. No problem. I always got your back.
All right. Cool. Well, you have a good evening.
Oh, you do the same, and we'll talk again.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
It was Virgo from the Urban Landlord channel there. She's awesome. She's a fine cook and everything else. Let's see. Metal Man Mickey says he's played so many different kinds of roles, but Dr. Frank-N-Furter is his best. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Anyway, phone lines are still open. I guess our big producer left, so you know. Guess that's what happened there. I guess that's what happened there. Oh, boy. If it isn't Metal Maiden Vicky, how's it going?
Hi, good. Very good. You know, what a great show. This is one of my favorite topics, one of my favorite movies. And I had to call in just for a few minutes because it's just one of the best movies I've ever seen, from beginning to end. And there's always something different that you notice every time you see it, whether it's the decor in the castle or, like when learning in the very beginning in the church scene, who the people are that work at the church. I didn't notice that the first time around. Did you?
What do you mean? Say that again.
The actor, like who they were later on, like I didn't put two and two together, that it was Magenta Columbia and Frank-N-Furter.
yes. It's kind of like The Wizard of Oz. The people you see in the beginning end up being the people that are in the movie later on. The farmhands end up being, but yes, if you take a really good close look at them, that's the way. And the people in that scene are so sneery and so kind of awful, they're really weird. They're really, really weird.
The photographer, he's creepy.
Yeah, he's very creepy.
And what was her? Betty Monroe. Yes, Betty Monroe.
Yes. And Brad with his, Janet, I've got something to say. I really love the skillful way, and just how like hokey he is and everything else.
So funny.
Yeah.
Hey, does anyone know how to Madison?
Yeah. They have ways differing from our own.
And you know what I want to say every time you say Brad, but I won't say it because we're live on the air.
Right. Or Janet, for that matter. Yeah.
Or Janet. Yes, true.
Yes.
But, it's funny, going back to the first time when my sister took me. Now, when I was on your show before, I had mentioned, that my sister, I thought she listened to really weird music when I was a kid. I would hear like Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Frank Zappa and, King Crimson and things like that coming out of her room. And I'm like, God, my sister's so weird. Of course, bands I came to appreciate, but she also had the Rocky Horror Picture Show album in her room. And I remember looking at the album like, what is she doing now? What is this? I can't even believe it. So when I went to visit her in college, because my dad would go to U of M for his fraternity thing and the big Ohio State, Michigan, game and all that stuff, homecoming. So he brought me a couple of years, which is probably not a good idea, but it was fun for me. But, she took me and I was so mad at her. I'm like, I don't want to go. I can't believe you're doing this to me. I'm here visiting you. You're bringing me to this movie. I can't believe it. And man, did she prove me wrong? I left that theater just like the happiest person ever. I just had such a blast. Just not even knowing the audience participation and, like I said in chat earlier, why we had to bring all that stuff. Like, why are we bringing all this stuff? She's like, you'll see. And I always felt bad for the people that had to clean the theaters after each showing,
Well, there's a legend.
Right.
There's a legend that like the first, because the movie had started to become really popular. People were going to it just because they thought it was quirky and fun and everything that it is. But the first kind of audience reaction was when Janet's holding the newspaper above her head. A woman, and they even know who the woman was, yelled out, "Buy an umbrella, you cheap bam." And then the whole crowd lost it. And so then little by little, people started like saying stuff and reacting to what was going on. So that now there's almost like a script. And there are scripts that you can look at online that tell you what to say when and everything else. It's actually, it's the most audience participation movie that I've ever seen. And one of the things that made it cool when I started watching it was I felt like everybody else was in on a big, cool joke that I wasn't in on but I kind of was because I was sitting there. And then the more times you go, the more you're in on the joke and all that kind of stuff. So
Exactly. I know exactly what you mean, because you're sitting there the first time and you're laughing because all of these comments that people are yelling out
yeah,
are so appropriate for what's going on in the screen. And, I was mentioning that audience participation album I have. It's got a strange, like, looking Columbia on the cover of the album. But it's a double album. It has, like, a booklet with, everything following along with what everybody is saying. And it's really cool. But, that first time just really, that just kick-started the whole thing for me in general. I was addicted after it. I mean, some people, you either just flat out can't stand Rocky Horror, you think it's the most ridiculous thing ever made,
yeah.
or you love it. I mean, I don't know if there is an in-between. Maybe there might be an in-between, but I don't know. I mean, both you and I over 100 times easily. And, whether it's been in a theater or at home or on, DVD, whatever have you, it's always interesting. And just some of the things that people yell out are just hilarious.
Yeah.
Even the second time I saw them at when she took me to the H3 Playhouse, which was quite an experience, because I was still kind of young and we had been partying and we had the last row. The place was packed. And I would say the first 10 rows were people dressed up and, they did the whole floor show in front of the movie and Sal Piro was up there, just talking and getting the crowd going. And we were in the last row. And, in the opening science fiction double feature, and they say the last row and everybody stands up and goes, the last row. And I was like, what's going on? The first time I'd ever heard that before. And that made me laugh. But I wanted to ask you, have you ever seen, there's a different ending to Rocky Horror. There's two different endings. Now, there's the normal one, all right, when the castle takes off, right?
Yeah.
And they're left there on the grounds in their fishnet outfits, like all dazed and whatever, right? The normal ending that everybody sees. One time, I saw an ending where they were singing another song and they were climbing on monkey bars, like on a playground setting. Still in their fishnets, that still dazed. And I was like, what is that? I don't know. Have you ever seen that before? I thought I was hallucinating or something. I have never seen it again.
Well, the only two sort of different endings that I know about was when it was released in the UK, Superheroes was the end of the movie. So the last lines of the movie were lost in time, lost in space, lost in meaning. And then the US version, that happens, and then there's like an instrumental version of the time warp is over the credits. Those are the only two that I know of, but I'll look into that. But
and the globe.
Yes.
Yeah, and the globe turns off. Shut that globe off.
Yes.
But yeah, they're climbing on like these monkey bars. And I just thought, where did that happen? Or what? It was just very odd. I'll have to see if I can find it on YouTube or somewhere. I don't even know where I saw it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it just kind of struck me because, the whole movie was exactly the same right until that end.
I'm completely...
Even though it was the same.
I am not familiar with that, but I'll look into it, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know nothing about that. I don't know anything about it.
Very cool. But I'm really psyched you did the show tonight, Tom. Seriously.
Oh, no problem.
Because, Rocky Horror is still very popular. And Tim Curry, I mean, yes, I think that Dr. Frank-N-Furter is one of the best roles he did. And he is so versatile. I mean, we know from what Virgo Sapphire mentioned before, playing the role in It of Pennywise, in the movie Legend, playing, the demon Satan. I mean, incredible. Then doing a comedy with Annie Potts, then Clue, and he's just always so brilliant, and so even his stage acting Shakespeare, and as many actors like Tim Curry were, I guess schooled in Shakespeare in the beginning, but he's just incredible. His versatility and his range.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And
Absolutely
his music,
amazing.
of course. We've mentioned his albums before, and
Dupa says that according to Slash Film, the UK version of the film has an alternate ending. Yeah, that's just the without them all. It's the ending that it just ends with lost in time, lost in space and meaning. It doesn't have the house and all the other stuff. It's just right there is the ending. So it's not what Metal Maiden Vicky's talking about, but it is a different ending than the U.S. version. So, U.S., we have to have an upbeat, toe tapper. So,
yeah. But the criminologist, yes, love him. Charles Gray. I wonder, I never really looked it up if he ever did anything else. Like, I never saw him.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
Has he? Yeah.
Oh, man. He's in James Bond movies. Yeah, he is a very, very well-known British actor.
Got you. Okay, I should know because I grew up. My dad is a huge James Bond fan, so we were always watching them when I was a kid. All right, cool. All right.
Yeah. He played Blofeld, who's one of James Bond's most, well-known. He was in Diamonds Are Forever, You Only Live Twice.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah, he is a very, very the memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. Just all over the place for a long time as a British actor. Yeah, that's why it's so cool to have him there because he's so much of a standard. Very. Just the way he is in that thing. Tickets for the Titanic, Bergerac, Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Let's see what he was in before Rocky Horror. Because, man, he is just so prevalent in British movies and TV. Churchill's People, which was a TV series over there. Dial M for Murder. The Beast Must Die, which is a hokey kind of a horror film. Orson Welles' Great Mysteries. He was in a lot of Sherlock Holmes movies. Rivals of Sherlock Holmes. A movie about Somerset Maugham. File of the Golden Fleece. A lot of not that great stuff. The Secret War of Harry Frigg. Armchair Mystery Theater. He started in like 1957. In British TV and movies. BBC Sunday Night Theater, a TV series called The Invisible Man, over there. But yes, he was like a stock, very, very British sort of guy. You see him in movies all the time, kind of usually a B movie or a war movie or a mystery or something. So yeah, as little as I knew about Rocky Horror, I definitively knew who he was when he came on the screen. I was like, oh, I've seen that guy before.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Did not know that about Charles Gray. And you mentioned, too, one of the things he did, Orson Welles, was it Great Mysteries or Great Adventures? What was that?
Mystery Tales.
I'm not familiar with that.
I think it was probably another of Orson Welles' ways to try and make money at the end of his career. But it was a British show. He lived over there for a while, so.
Okay, I was thinking, was it like Unsolved Mysteries or something like that?
It's probably more like an Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Who knows?
Interesting.
Who knows? But anyway.
Well, Tom, I'm going to let you go. I just wanted to call in really quick and chat about one of the best movies ever made for a few minutes. And thank you again for doing it. This has been a lot of fun.
No, thanks for suggesting it. I'm really glad you did.
Yeah,
fun for me
definitely
too.
good
It's a big part of my growing up time. So anyway.
Yeah, me too. And it's fun to relive some of those times in your head of when you went to go see it, who you were with and what you were doing and different times. And, because it's all about, it is. It's a social movie. You know, you go there to interact with everybody.
Right.
You're not just sitting there in the theater watching it, you know, trying to be quiet and being that polite moviegoer. Oh, no. Not a Rocky.
Right. Anyway, you have a great evening, and thanks for being here as always.
Oh, you too, Tom. Thank you.
All
All right.
right.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right. See you back in chat.
All right. Metal Maiden Vicky's Metal Euphoria, Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on SonicAsylumRadio.com. And she has an amazing chat room. You can put GIFs in it and all sorts of other stuff. And it's not limited like mine. Anyway, I'm going to leave these phone lines open for like another 60 seconds. And then I'm shutting this down. I'm just about have had it this evening. Dupa says, I'm so glad Metal Maiden Vicky found the Tom Gulley Show. Well, Dupa, unbeknownst to you, I've known Metal Maiden Vicky for several years now because she's on Sonic Asylum Radio, and my show has been on their Facebook page streaming live for a while, quite a while. So we've known each other for a while, and they're great people over there at Sonic Asylum Radio. They really, really are. Yes, thank George Neal. George the Real Deal Neal, Pure Steel, for the noted bass player from the metal band Halloween, George Neal. He's a great guy. Absolutely great guy. Is he as great as if I got to meet Susan Sarandon? No. But he's still pretty great. Just slightly less. He and I both like Tubby's, which is a decadent fast food chain in the Detroit area. So he was the one that first found your show. Oh, it's his fault. It's his fault. Any old way. Oh, I'm so mad right now. I can hardly stand it. I can hardly stand it. When I have to get up and leave a show in the middle, that's never going to be good. Never going to be good. But this was a good show, a good topic. I hope everybody had a good time. I see that the guy that wants to be the producer has left. So that's just great. That's absolutely great. Tomorrow we'll either do overrated, underrated, or I might take a night off. I don't know. I'll probably do something, but I'm just not. And coming up on the Tom Gulley Show, we will be doing shows on. I know we're doing Woodrow Wilson's wife. Tom, think of your McDonald's experience today. I am. Believe me, I am. Mrs. Wilson, Woodrow Wilson's wife. I'm just going to go ahead and spoiler alert you so that if you see this topic, you won't go, oh my God. Woodrow Wilson had a severe stroke while he was in the office of president. And he really couldn't talk. He could barely communicate. And the members of government were getting kind of their directions from his wife for quite a long time. And a lot of historians, when I say a lot, I mean just about all of them, think that Woodrow Wilson's wife kind of ran the country for a while because he couldn't. So that's what we're going to do that one about. And there's no good way to, you can't put that in 3 words on your thumbnail. Sorry. What else do I have? I'll do Lenny Bruce next week. Who else am I going to do? What do we got here? Yeah. And some other stuff. Okay, I'm closing these phone lines down. Australians. You know, they just want to come in and, oh, I'm the producer of the show. And nothing. Nothing. Sounds like Ronald. Oh, I'm so ticked off right now. Anyway, I'm looking at that old clock on the wall, and it says that, like the Reverend Al Green, it's about time for me to get on up out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. If you do try to go home, it's just a jump to the left. There you are. And with all that being said, the only thing left to say is, till next time, we'll see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4. They call me Mr. Gulley. I've got something for your ear. Now it might sound kind of funny, but I'll make it very clear. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we're talking about? We're talking